month we have Angie Bruelette joining us. She's going to talk to you about what it means to be a small animal veterinarian. I have known Angie for a long time. I first met her when she was the board member of the Acorn Cooperative Preschool, and after that she became a board member of Mariposa County First Five, supporting children ages 0 to 5 in Mariposa County. And currently she is the board chair of Sierra Foothill Charter School, which is a position that she took over from me. And I was actually very happy to hand it over. And I'm sure that once her son is a little older, she'll become an academic booster club member as well.
You guys, thanks so much for inviting me to come speak to you all. I graduated my Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree from UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine in 2003. When I went in to veterinary school, I was thinking that I might have an interest in equine as well. I grew up riding horses. So freshman year of veterinary school, you don't end up choosing your track for veterinary school until your junior year. And so you have a couple of years of experience doing working with a variety, like you saw that picture of me holding the piglet for vaccinations. That was part of my freshman rotation. So you get an opportunity to work with a variety of different animals. And I had one experience floating teeth on a horse, and I could not move my shoulders the next day. And after that, I said, no, this is not for me. I think I'm gonna track small animal. I see patients all the time coming in for just general wellness exams and vaccinations, but I also get to do surgeries. I get to do dental procedures. I get to do ultrasounds and x-rays. So I never get bored, and I'm constantly learning on the job. The most important reason is I get to use PowerPoints in my job. So this is a dog had a fractured femur, that threading a pin down the femur of the leg there. So because you guys are in the stage of your educational process that you are, you're probably starting to think ahead about, colleges and what degrees you might be interested in earning. So a few points about veterinary school in general. So currently in the United States, there's only 30 veterinary schools, and there's only 2 veterinary schools in the state of California. So those 2 are the one that I graduated from, UC Davis, which is a public school, and about 10 years ago, a private school in Central California opened, and that's called Western States. And then just as a comparison to human medicine, in the United States, there's 172 medical schools versus only 30 veterinary schools. So it's tough to get in. So I pulled some statistics recently for the class of 2019, graduating class of 2019, which means they were accepted in 2015. So there were 730 applications, and 140 of those people were accepted to veterinary school. One of the unique trends that's happened in veterinary medicine within the past 50 years, I would say, is that it tends to be a pretty female-dominated field these days. So for this graduating class, 85% of the class were women and 15% were men. And that's pretty standard now through most of the United States. The average science GPA of the accepted graduates, so people who had earned a science GPA in their undergraduate studies, was a 3.65, and their last 45 semester units, the average was a 3.78. So if you're looking to go into veterinary school, you've got to perform pretty well in your undergraduate classes. And then in addition to undergraduate school, there's an examination that everyone has to take to gain entrance into veterinary school, and that's called the GRE, which stands for the Graduate Requisite Examination. There's 3 components to that test that you have to take. So there's a quantitative component, a verbal component, and an analytical writing component. And so the average scores for the 140 that were accepted was a 75% for the quantitative, 78% on their verbal, and 68% on the writing. There's a long list of prerequisites that you have to take in undergraduate in order to even qualify to apply for veterinary school. And most of those classes you can see are science classes. Even the people that maybe majored in liberal studies oftentimes at least minored in biological sciences or chemistry, because they usually have to take enough units to qualify for that. Okay? Other thing that's required to gain entrance into veterinary school is that you have to have a minimum of 180 hours of experience in a veterinary field. But most of the applicants that were accepted, those 140, had over 2,000 hours logged. And so what I encourage anyone who's interested in going into veterinary medicine to do is to try, summers or weekends to either get a job working in a veterinary hospital or a related field, or volunteering, because the more hours that you're able to log, the more qualified a candidate you're going to be for acceptance. And this is the bad news. And this was actually really surprising to me. So when I looked this statistic up, because 13 years ago, roughly, the cost of getting an education in veterinary medicine has gone up pretty substantially. So when I went to veterinary school, it was less than half the cost that it is now. And currently, for 4 years, and I've included tuition, cost of living, and health insurance in here, to attend UC Davis from start to finish, you're looking at about $240,000 price tag. And then Western States, because it's a private institution, is slightly higher than that, and you're looking at about $300,000. So it's not cheap, unfortunately. And then, once you graduate, the average salary, really, it depends a lot on your experience, your field of interest, and then the location, obviously, that you choose to practice in. But the range is pretty broad. Low end, you're looking at about $52,000 a year to earn. And then in some of the more metropolitan areas, you can earn up to $160,000 starting out, and then as your experience level increases, then obviously your salary would increase as well. And that's it.